Do you know there are people get promoted and get demoted just because of their knowledge and the skill in Microsoft Excel? Yes, Microsoft Excel is so important in many companies and also in different industries. In this video, you are going to learn how you are able to learn Microsoft Excel and how you are able to use it differently even though you start from ground zero. So let's get started. This is the screen what you are going to see when you first open Excel and with a blank workbook. In Excel, the workbook means the file, and what you could see is a blank file, and on the top it says book 1. That means a blank file, number 1. If you open it, if you want to create a new file, you can press Ctrl N to create a new file. If you want to save it, you can press Ctrl S and it will ask you where you want to save it. And sometimes you have no idea where you could start, and this is one option for you to get started by going to File. Then you will go to option says New, and it has many of the template available, and you also could search a template online. For example, you are searching for something to do with the stock, and you just type the wording stock and press enter, and you will start doing some search and it will give you a list of the template available. So this is a good chance for you to get started and see what Excel could do for you. And I believe the real power hidden in Excel is not using template, it's creating something suitable to your needs. And now let's see what you could do in Excel. Excel file is organized by individual worksheet. What you can see on the bottom left, it says sheet 1. If I want to give you a new name, so I could just go and using the mouse and double click, and it will ask you for the new name. Maybe I give you this is called data. So I can press enter. You can have a space, you can have a special character there. If I want to create a brand new worksheet, I could click on the plus sign, and similarly I could double click and give a new name. Maybe this is about report. So I give it a report and press enter. So this is how you are able to get it done. And sometimes because of the organization, you may want to shift the report before the data. So you are able to drag and go towards the front and drop, and this is so simple. If you want to do more things, you could just right click on one of the worksheets, and it has many options available for you to experiment. After we know how the worksheet works, and now we are going to learn how we are able to key in the data or information into a spreadsheet. So what it means by spreadsheet? So basically it means the data is spread across a worksheet by individual cell. What you could see on the screen, it has organized by individual boxes. The individual boxes here, this is called cell, and basically it's an intersection between the vertical column and horizontal row. When they intersect, so that is the cell address. For example, I'm going to C, column C, and row number 3. So I'm going to this cell, this is called C3. And on the top section, you are able to see there's a name box. So this is showing the address of the cell. And now I'm going to key in something. Prior to that, I want to zoom in so that I'm able to see clearly. To zoom in, there are a few options. You can go to the bottom right, it has a zoom slider. You can click and zoom in. Another method, you could use your mouse and hold your control key and use the scroll button, scroll up and down, and you are able to see it zoom in and zoom out. So after we know about zoom in, now we continue with our data entry here. So I want to go to C3 and I want to key in the word called Excel Sifu. I just call it Excel Sifu. After I'm done, I can press enter. So as you can see, when I press enter, it will go down. If I continue press enter, it will go down further. If I want to go up, I could hold down the shift key and press enter, it go up. And similarly, if I want to go towards the right side, I could press tab. If I want to go back towards the left, I could hold down the shift and tab. So this is how you're able to organize the things and how you're able to move. And if I want to refer to the information in the C3, example from E3, I want to refer to the information in the C3, I could use equal, and click on the cell C3, and I can press enter. So on the surface, these two cells, it looks the same, C3 and E3, they display Excel Sifu. And what is the underlying the data? The difference is it was showing whenever we click and we examine it in the formula bar on the top section here. It says Excel Sifu for the C3, If I go to E3, it will show equal to C3. It means it is referring to the C3. Now you want to copy this information downwards using your mouse. One way is you can just use your mouse and point at the bottom right section of the active cell and click and drag it down so that you're able to make a multiple copy. At the same time, you can go to the E3, you can make a multiple copy by dragging down as well. And one thing to notice, and the reference here, this is referring to the C3. When it copied down, the reference will move proportionally based on the movement. If I move one row down, you can see it changes one row down as well to become C4. And so this is about the copying, and some people they want to move the information around. So you can just select them and you can go towards the edge of the selection. You can see there's a 4 arrow and you can drag and move it somewhere else. So this is a good way to move around. And one thing to focus here, whenever you move a reference cell to somewhere else and the reference still maintained as is, it is moved. So now I want to move it back, I could just drag and move it back. And if let's say I do not need this information, I can just simply select them and press delete key and it's gone. So this is about using the mouse to do copy. And how about using the keyboard to copy? So I want to select C3, I press Ctrl C to copy. I can go to the multiple cell. If let's say I want to copy the same thing, I can press Ctrl V to paste. And similarly for the formula, I press Ctrl C, I move it down, I select multiple cells and I press Ctrl V. So you can see the reference it stays, it moves proportionally based on the original cell we have copied. Either it goes down, up, left or right. So everything goes down, so same with here, everything goes down. So therefore it's able to get it done. What if I made mistakes during this data entry? I could undo them by pressing Ctrl Z. Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, you are able to see it's able to undo. What if I make a mistake to undo too many and I want to redo the things I have undo? So the shortcut key is by pressing Ctrl Y, Ctrl Y. So these are how you're able to undo and redo easily using the keyboard shortcut. So I do not want this, I could just undo them. And if let's say you want to make a copy for the same thing multiple times, you can select them, press Ctrl C, and you can select multiple cells here. Just observe I'm pressing Ctrl V and it pastes it, and it is so beautifully done, and it will automatically extend and based on the column we have selected. And you have many things for you to experiment using this method. So this is how we are able to use Excel to do some data entry, and let's move on to the next topic. Just now what we have done is about the data entry, and now we want to see how or what are the things we could do on the row and the column. So now you can see column D is blank between C and E. If I say I want to remove them, I could just right click and choose delete. And if I say I want to undo, I can press Ctrl Z to undo. If I say I want to insert multiple columns, maybe I want to insert 3 columns between C and E, I could just select 3 columns and right click and choose insert, and you can see it just got pushed away whenever we insert more columns. And now I just want to select them, I want to remove them. Another shortcut to remove, rather than right click, you can use Ctrl minus to remove. And if let's say I want to add it back, I can select them, I can use Ctrl plus after you have selected the columns. So this is how you are able to get it done. So now I want to remove the blank columns at the time being. And at the same time, similarly with the rows, if let's say I want to select row 6, 7, 8, I want to insert the new rows. So since I'm selected 3 rows, by having right click and insert, it will insert 3 rows above it. And now I want to undo, I can press Ctrl Z. And what if I want to insert the row using the keyboard shortcut? The keyboard shortcut is Ctrl plus. If let's say I want to remove a row, I could just select row, maybe row number 4. I can use Ctrl minus to remove it. So this is how you're able to get it done easily. Now we are going to learn what does mean by the range. Range basically is more than one cell, it's a group of cells. And now I want to select from C3 until D7. So this is range. And what does it mean? So if let's say I want to do a summation based on this range, I could use a formula or function to do such calculation. To specify the address, so just now we have learned about individual cell. The address is go to address bar, the name box. So you are able to see the single cell. But here you only see the C3, which means the active cell. If I want to refer to the range, the easy way is to use the top left colon then bottom right. So if let's say I want to test it, so this will be equal C3 like until D7. So irregardless of your selection, you could select from a D3 and go until C7. It's still displaying the top left colon bottom right. So this is how it works. So how about the address for the column? So if let's say I want to select D, so it will be D colon D. So this is a single column. If I want to select C and D, so you can see it always from the left go towards the right because it doesn't have the number, so it means the entire column from C to D. If let's say I want to select the row similarly, so I want to select row 4 to 7, so it's 4 colon 7 because it is selecting by the entire row, so therefore you will not able to see the alphabet there. So this is a very good and important knowledge for you to aware how the cell reference for the individual range, for the column and for the rows. So this will definitely help you in your work, especially you are working with the formula. A lot of people like to use mouse to do control in Excel. So what you could see here, if let's say I'm using the mouse now, I move, and if I click the particular section I have selected, you can see the different border. This is called active cell. You can click at different places. And now this is a general plus sign, that means it's a selection. If I go towards the edge, this is the movement, and if I select the data, I could move them somewhere else. And if let's say I go towards the edge, so there's a small dot, this is called view handle. You can drag and make a copy of that as well. And if let's say I want to do more with a specific section, I could just go to a specific section and right click. You can see there has a different selection available, different location and different places. You right click, you will see a different options. If I go towards the column, I right click, I can see there's an insert or delete. If I go towards the cell, I right click, I will see insert and delete. But if it's focusing on the cell or on the column, if let's say I go to somewhere else, the row, I could right click, you can see a different options as well. And this also works after I have copied, maybe I select them, Ctrl C, I go to somewhere else, I right click. You can see it has more options here, for example, paste option. So do experiment on what are the things you could do, and by pressing the right click, and you will be fascinated on what are the things you could do more in Excel. Just how we have gone through about a quick walkthrough what are the things you could do in Excel. Now let's see what are the things you could do in Excel by going through some actual data entry. So what you could see here on the A1, I want to enter a title, maybe it's what's the title of this data. So there are a couple of options. Some people they like to use the title above here. So maybe I will use this is about quotation. So when I see this quotation, it somehow is overflow from A1, it venture into B1. If I say I key in something on the B1, maybe I key in A, B, C, and it's somehow the A1, the quotation, the wording got truncated. So if let's say I go to A1, I remove it and the data get appear again. So basically the data is reside in the A1 just because of the display, it got truncated. So how you're able to get this around? Let me put back the data here, the testing data A, B, C. And you go towards the A and B, make sure your mouse, you can see there's a double arrow with a black line between them. So this is the time you can drag and to resize. Either you can make it larger or make it smaller. And some people, they want to make it larger and smaller as well as the row. You could do the same thing. Now I'm going to between 1 and 2, I can increase the height. And if I click here, I want to do some adjustment. Maybe I want to make it in the middle of the cell. I can make it center, and I want to make it as a middle. So you can see this thing has changed. After we created a title, now I want to continue with the data entry. And prior to that, just observe the way how I'm using my mouse and keyboard. And you use this method, you can have a very pleasant and peaceful data entry. So let's go to A3. I want to have a gap between them so that whenever in the future analysis, the data will not be confused with the title. And this is my usual habit. And I want to start with the number. So number and O, when I press tab, usually people will press enter. Now use tab, it will go to B3. So this will be item, and I can continue with the tab quantity. I press tab unit price, and I continue with tab. This is the price. At the end, I press enter. Just observe the movement of the active cell. I press enter, it will go to the next row of the first column, which is on the A4. So I want to continue with this item number 1, and I continue with the tab, and this is the item is called alpha, quantity 10. I press tab 5.5 for the unit price, and the price we could use a formula later to do calculation. Now let me continue quickly for the subsequent data entry. Okay, I have done the data entry, and now I want to do some calculation for the price. All the Excel formulas start with the equal sign, equal the quantity, multiply by the unit price. I could press enter, and this will be 10 multiplied by 5.5 will be 55. And I want to copy the formula downward quickly. I could go to the fill handle here and double click. Normal drag allows us to go to a specific section, and if let's say you want to copy the same thing until the end of the data, you could go to the fill handle and double click, it will go towards the end. Now we have done the data entry. The next thing is I want to make this whole thing much more presentable. The first thing I want to do is I want to make the number a bit smaller, quantity, the item quantity, make it larger, or I could select multiple of them, like multiple columns, and go between the columns, the separator, and I could just double click, and it's allowed to arrange all based on the content. Another way, I want to have all the columns to have consistent width, so I could just go one of them and drag and to resize. By selecting multiple columns, I'm able to control multiple columns, their width at the same time. So now it's done, and I want to do some formatting here. So I can select the header. I could go to cell styles inside the home. I could choose one of them. It is very handy for you to do some formatting. Here I want to align towards right side. Okay, very good. And I want to do some formatting here. Currently, I want to have consistent, everyone has a 2 decimal. If let's say it's over 1000, I want to have 1000 separator, which means the comma. The easiest way is go to the home. You can see there's a comma style. Click on the comma style and everything's done. And at the bottom, I want to have the grand total. So I want to have the grand total here. Grand total. And the grand total, okay, instead of using the function or normal formula equal 1 by 1, I could use a function, it says sum. So I just press equal SUM. And when the sum, the wording is selected, you can use tab key to select sum. And I want to go up and I will select the range. And again, this is a knowledge of recognizing the address of the range. And currently it says from E4 until E10. So after that, you press enter. So this is how you're able to get it done. And let's continue with the formatting. The grand total is got truncated, and because I want to maintain the column width, and I can change the alignment towards the right. So you're able to see this is nicely formatted, and I want to have the line for the top and bottom line for the total, and same with the grand total. So it makes a bit elegant, and I want to go towards the top. The quotation here, somehow it jumps towards another location because of the formatting and because of the width. I want to make the quotation, the wording in the center of all this range from A until E. So to do so, I just select them and I go to the home, merge and center, click merge and center. I could increase the font size. I can change the color as well. And I want to use a different font. I could have a greater flexibility, and this for you to experiment. So after this is done, and I want to do some exploration. I want to see what other things I could do next, especially if this quotation I want to print it out. I could go to File and Print. So basically it's go to File, Save As. So instead of saving, and you are able to choose one of the options, it says PDF file. Yeah, this is a PDF file. When you click and save as a PDF file, and it will be generated as a PDF file. If the version of the Excel does not have this thing, you can download some PDF printer. So basically you are using a normal method as you're printing it out towards a PDF. So now this is almost done, and the next thing I want to hide the grid line. I could go to view. So there's a grid lines, I want to hide them. So I can go up, and I want to have some lines between the item. I could select them and go back to home. There's a lot of formatting here. I could just choose, I want to have all borders across, and I want to have the first header. I want to make it bold, and this is how you're able to get it done a little bit easier. I want to make the height, and yep, now I want to double confirm whether this is output correctly. I can press Ctrl P to print. So this is how the things will look like, and I could change the orientation, make it like a landscape, that means horizontal, make it vertical, or I could do some scaling. Scaling means it will fit everything into a single page. Because it is quite okay, it doesn't go so much. If let's say especially the data or the report you want to print is a bit too huge, you can use the fitting to change it accordingly. Before we wrap up, and I want to walk through on what are the things you could do with the menu above. So some people call it menu, and the common term people use this are the tab, the one I'm clicking. So basically the functionality of Excel is categorized by individual tab. So if I click on the tab, it will show a different ribbon. Ribbon is what are the items displayed underneath. For example, I go to home, so it has a clipboard. So this is a way you can copy and paste the font, the place where you're able to do more things, alignment. I say I go to review, as a section, for example, you want to do some protection on the file, and I want to go to view, you are able to show the grid line, formula bars. We want to show the heading, hide or show the heading. Everything is controlled by individual items here. So beside the group, so there's a one small button here. It's called the launch dialog. If you click, it will show more items available, especially for the font. So beside the font, you could do the borders, you can do the fill, protection, and there are a lot more things here. And do take time to explore what are the options available. By going through this similar exploration, you're able to know, hey, Excel actually can do all these things. And this can expand your awareness what Excel could do for you. And do take time to explore what are the options available. And hope this video gives you some ideas what are the things you could do more with Excel. And with the techniques and the strategy I have just shared, you're able to continue with the self-learning so that you're able to continue to grow your knowledge, and similarly with your career progression. And if you find this video helpful and useful to you, please consider to subscribe to the channel, and at the same time do share this video to your friends and colleagues. I would love to hear your feedback on what are the things you want to learn the next. Take care and stay safe.